From the towering redwoods to the smallest microorganisms, life on Earth is a breathtaking display of diversity. Each species, a testament to the power of evolution, exhibits unique adaptations that allow it to thrive in its niche. But beneath this outward variety lies an interesting question. What does it mean to be alive? Is it merely the ability to grow and reproduce, or is there something more, something intangible that defines life itself? This question leads us to the even more perplexing issue of consciousness. The quest to understand consciousness, both our own and that of other living things, is a journey into the very heart of what it means to be alive. It's a journey that compels us to confront our assumptions and marvel at the extraordinary diversity of life on our planet. In this exploration, we will look into the fascinating world of animal cognition, examining the evidence for sentience in creatures both large and small. We will explore the latest research on plant behavior, questioning whether these seemingly passive organisms might possess a form of awareness that we are only beginning to understand. Before we can delve into the intriguing world of animal minds, we must first establish a working definition of consciousness. For our purposes, we can think of it as the state of being aware of oneself and one's surroundings. It's the ability to experience sensations, to feel emotions, to have subjective experiences. However, as we'll see, the animal kingdom offers a wealth of evidence suggesting that consciousness in various forms is more widespread than we might initially think. Take, for instance, the remarkable intelligence of chimpanzees, our closest living relatives. These primates display an astonishing capacity for learning, tool use, and even self-recognition. Studies have shown that chimps can recognize themselves in mirrors, a feat once thought to be exclusive to humans and a few other highly intelligent species. This ability to distinguish oneself from others suggests a level of self-awareness that is a hallmark of consciousness. Or consider the playful antics of dolphins, those acrobatic denizens of the deep. Dolphins are renowned for their intelligence and complex communication skills, using a variety of whistles, clicks, and body language to communicate with each other. Even creatures seemingly far removed from ourselves on the evolutionary tree exhibit behaviors that hint at a capacity for consciousness. Bees, for example, display remarkable feats of navigation and communication. They perform intricate dances to inform their hive mates about the location of food sources, conveying information about distance, direction, and even the quality of the nectar. These examples challenge us to reconsider our understanding of consciousness, suggesting it is a spectrum with varying degrees of awareness and cognitive complexity. One of the key indicators that scientists look for when assessing consciousness in animals is the ability to learn in an open-ended way. This goes beyond simple conditioning, implying a deeper level of cognitive processing. Imagine a rat learning to navigate a maze. If it can find new routes when the maze is altered, that suggests a more flexible and adaptable form of intelligence. This hints at a capacity for conscious thought. This ability to learn and adapt is crucial for survival in a constantly changing environment. Animals that can adjust their behavior based on new information are more likely to find food, avoid predators, and successfully raise offspring. Consider the remarkable problem-solving skills of crows, birds renowned for their intelligence. Crows have been observed using tools, such as twigs and sticks, to extract insects from crevices. This ability to improvise and use tools in novel ways is a testament to their cognitive flexibility. The more we study animal behavior, the more we realize that consciousness is not an all-or-nothing phenomenon. It's not a case of humans having it and all other species lacking it. Instead, it seems that consciousness exists on a continuum, with different animals possessing varying degrees of awareness and cognitive sophistication. At one end, we have simple organisms with rudimentary nervous systems, and at the other, humans with our capacity for abstract thought, language, and self-awareness. Now, Having explored the fascinating realm of animal consciousness, we turn our attention to a group of organisms that might seem far less likely candidates for sentience plants. Rooted in place, seemingly passive and unresponsive, plants have long been relegated to the periphery of our conscious awareness. Yet beneath this veneer of stillness lies a world of surprising complexity, where plants exhibit behaviors that challenge our assumptions about the nature of intelligence and awareness. Recent research suggests that plants might possess a rudimentary form of consciousness. Consider, for example, the way plants respond to light. Plants don't simply soak up whatever sunlight happens to fall on their leaves. They actively seek out the optimal light conditions, growing towards the sun, adjusting the orientation of their leaves to maximize light absorption. Plants are constantly monitoring the quality and direction of light, using sophisticated light-sensing proteins. Some plants even engage in a kind of botanical warfare, releasing chemicals into the soil to inhibit the growth of their competitors. This ability to sense and respond to their surroundings suggests a level of awareness that goes far beyond the capabilities of inanimate objects. Perhaps even more intriguing is the way plants communicate with each other. When attacked by herbivores, some plants release volatile organic compounds into the air, chemical signals that warn neighboring plants of the impending danger. These warning signals can travel considerable distances, allowing plants to mount a coordinated defense even before they are directly threatened. Some plants can even distinguish between different types of threats, tailoring their responses accordingly. This ability to communicate complex information suggests a level of social intelligence that we are only beginning to understand. Plants have developed their own intricate forms of communication, using chemical signals to converse in a language that we are only beginning to decipher. But perhaps the most compelling evidence for plant intelligence comes from their remarkable ability to learn and remember. Plants can store information about past experiences, such as droughts, floods, or pest outbreaks, and use this information to adjust their growth and behavior in the future. This ability to learn from experience, to adapt to changing environmental conditions, is a hallmark of intelligent behavior. While plants may not have brains in the traditional sense, they clearly possess some form of decentralized intelligence. While these examples of plant behavior are impressive, it's important to approach the question of plant consciousness with a healthy dose of skepticism. One of the main arguments against plant consciousness is the lack of a central nervous system, a brain-like structure that integrates sensory information and coordinates responses. In animals, the brain acts as a central processing unit, receiving input from the senses, interpreting that input, and sending out commands to the muscles and organs. Plants, on the other hand, lack this centralized control center. While some researchers argue that this decentralized system of communication is evidence of a different kind of intelligence, others contend that it's a far cry from the complex information processing that underpins consciousness in animals. They argue that the chemical signals plants use to communicate are more akin to hormones than to the electrical impulses that zip along our nerves. These skeptics point out that many of the behaviors we observe in plants can be explained by relatively simple physiological mechanisms. They argue that these responses are more akin to reflexes than to conscious decisions. The debate over plant consciousness often hinges on how we define consciousness itself. If we define consciousness narrowly, as the ability to experience the world subjectively, to feel emotions and have self-awareness, then it's difficult to argue that plants meet these criteria. However, if we broaden our definition of consciousness to encompass any form of awareness, then the case for plant consciousness becomes more compelling. Plants clearly exhibit a remarkable sensitivity to their surroundings, responding to light, gravity, touch, temperature, and even the presence of other organisms. They can learn from experience, adapt to changing conditions, and even communicate with each other in sophisticated ways. Ultimately, the question of whether or not plants are conscious may be unanswerable. at least with our current scientific tools and understanding. We simply don't have the means to peer into the inner world of a plant, to know what, if anything, it's like to experience the world from the perspective of a rooted, photosynthesizing organism. But for now, we must approach the question of plant consciousness with a sense of humility, acknowledging the limits of our own knowledge and marveling at the extraordinary diversity of life on Earth. In our quest to unravel the mysteries of consciousness, it's crucial to make a clear distinction between two related but distinct concepts: awareness and consciousness. While often used interchangeably, these terms represent different levels of interaction with the world. Awareness, in its simplest form, is the ability to detect and respond to stimuli. A thermostat, for example, exhibits a basic form of awareness. It can sense changes in temperature and adjust its output accordingly. Even single-celled organisms exhibit awareness by responding to changes in light, chemicals, or temperature gradients. Consciousness, however, goes beyond mere reactivity. It implies a subjective experience, a feeling of what it's like to be. A conscious being is not simply aware of its surroundings, it has an internal, first-person perspective on its own existence. While we can confidently ascribe consciousness to many animals, the question of whether plants possess this kind of subjective experience remains a point of contention. As we conclude our exploration of consciousness, we are left with a sense of wonder and a renewed appreciation for the intricate workings of life on Earth. The question of whether every living thing, even a seemingly simple plant, possesses some flicker of awareness, some internal spark of subjective experience, is a question that has no easy answers. It is a question that forces us to confront the limits of our own understanding, to acknowledge the vastness of the unknown, and to marvel at the sheer diversity of life's expressions. While the scientific jury remains out on the question of plant consciousness, the evidence we have explored suggests that even in the absence of a brain as we know it, life finds a way to sense, to respond, and perhaps even to experience the world in ways that we are only beginning to fathom. The intricate communication networks of trees, the subtle responses of plants to their surroundings, the very fact that they have evolved over millions of years to thrive in virtually every corner of our planet, all hint at a level of complexity, of interconnectedness that defies easy categorization. Perhaps as our scientific tools become more sophisticated and our understanding of biology deepens, we will discover new ways of perceiving and interpreting the signals that plants send us, unlocking the secrets of their inner world. Perhaps we will find that consciousness, rather than being a binary switch, is more like a dimmer with different organisms existing at varying levels of awareness, each attuned to the unique demands of its environment. Or perhaps, as some scientists and philosophers believe, consciousness is an emergent property of complex systems, arising not from any single organ or structure, but from the intricate interplay of countless individual parts. If this is the case, then it's possible that consciousness is more widespread than we ever imagined, woven into the very fabric of life itself, from the smallest bacterium to the largest whale.